The arrest of these protesters, what does it signal to the country's democracy?
It means our democracy is at stake, because people have the right, the constitutional right to protest whenever they want to. And this even comes from the point where there's something happening which is very, very, very dangerous, not only to the people who are living in that same area where the issues or the ills of the society are actually trending, but this is something that affects everyone as a Ghanaian. So once you don't need a permission from the police to go on a demonstration, you need to go and do what you need to do. And once you have your approval, you set out to inform the police so that they guide you to make that happen. But once the police is being used to short circuit the whole process, then it's a really terrible times that we're in.
Ghana, Accra, welcome to another edition of Citizens Hour on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM in Dakar. Citizens Hour, Africa's radio program, is dedicated to exploring the democratic governmental lenses on strengthening democracy using radio, focusing on engaging citizens in conversations about the importance of democracy and the challenges it faces, while we also recommend actionable solutions to consolidating the gains of democracy for the greater good and development of our dearest continent, Africa at large. Well, with some 70 days to Ghana's 2024 general elections, we are indeed your hub of democracy and good governance discourse. This is Citizens Hour. Today's episode will heavily be focused on finding critical actions or answers to the big question in a democratic state, which is who can vote and be voted for. Are there some criteria that enables an individual to vote? And who is indeed eligible to contest in any position to be voted for? Is a person entitled to actually trade his vote for a price? I mean, does vote in itself become a commodity in an electioneering year as a business avenue? Is that really the reality on the ground, or it isn't? Is our democracy gradually becoming moneycracy because people's vote, which is their power, their conscience, is actually traded for money to the person who must be voted for? As established already, free and fair elections are significant characteristics of a healthy democracy, and that is only made possible by voting. I want to say a very big thank you to our cherished listeners on our various partner radio stations: Voice of Liberia, 104.9 in Monrovia, FM, Bon County, Liberia, and in Ghana, Radio Pad, Savannah Radio, Royals FM, Winchi, and Focus FM, Kumasi. We would also want to say a very big thank you to our listeners on our Baka Radio, 97.5 FM, Bauchi and Darlin FM, 107.3, Oreri Southeast Nigeria, and also on Africa Young Voices, 101.6 FM, Freetown, and Radio Baff, 91.3, Mao 91 in Sierra Leone, and Hilltop Radio in the Gambia. So let's get straight into conversation. And joining me for this all-important conversation is the Director of Youth and Sports with the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute. He is also an activist and a social transformer and a STEM advocate, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics advocate. VT Albert Tetteh, thank you very much for joining me. And next is teaching assistant at the University of Ghana Business School and a Master of Philosophy in Management Information System. And she is also passionate and a youth activist on matters of democracy and good governance. She is Miss Monica Baffowaa. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and you're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Let me take your initial reaction towards the latest happening in Ghana, where demonstrators, unarmed individuals, harmless individuals, went onto the street to protest, and they've been arraigned before courts. They've been arrested and remanded in police custody for 2 weeks. What do you make of that, and how does that action, what does that action mean onto our democracy?
Thank you, Bath. I mean, I wouldn't have much to say about it because particularly this very demonstration, I didn't really have time to follow up how it started, how it goes, and then the aftermath. So I wouldn't have much to say about the particularly this very one. But all that I will think is that, I mean, everybody, we should have the freedom to tell what it is, what is our problem, and it's even part of the democracy to sort of, we see it in various countries, not even in the Western world, as how they protest with whatever is bothering them to the government.
The arrest of these protesters, what are the signal to the country's democracy?
It means our democracy is at stake, because people have the right, the constitutional right, to protest whenever they want to. And this even comes from the point where there's something happening which is very, very, very dangerous, not only to the people who are living in that same area where the issues or the ills of the society are actually trending, but this is something that affects everyone as a Ghanaian. So once you don't need a permission from the police to go on a demonstration, you need to go and do what you need to do. And once you have your approval, you set out to inform the police so that they guide you to make that happen. But once the police is being used to short circuit the whole process, then it's a really terrible times that we're in. Moreover, I tell people, because others are focusing on a few who actually were trying to have some sort of it was a back and forth with the police, pushing the barricades and all that. But what must be said is, do you think when people set out to go on protest or demonstrate, you expect it to be like a conference or a boardroom meeting? No, definitely they have to do something that will cause you to respond. Just that it has to be strategically done. So having the people arrested is not something that is wise to do. And moreover, we even had over the same weekend people who were caught in other Galamsey areas who were granted bail. So why are you refusing people what is actually their right? They have the right to be granted the bail, and whatever you want to do, you can do going forward. But keeping the people and actually saying that you come back again and again and again, and now we're looking at 2 weeks, this is very wrong, for which you don't even feed them, they're not taking their bath, some are even in prisons, not behind cells. Not behind cells. They are in prisons because we don't have enough cells in Accra. It's terrifying. It's really sickening. And I think this is not right to do. Irrespective of the fact that there might be one or two things that went wrong, whatever or whatsoever perspective people will look at it, I don't think arresting them and detaining them till now is the right thing to do. And it tells us that looking at the elections that is coming, the upcoming election, that we really need to be vigilant. We really need to plan well strategically as a people, because we are not experiencing democracy at this time.
Okay, so you feel that the arrest goes to deepen or may have a dent on the country's democracy?
It's not made. Okay. Already done.
Okay. So let's go straight to today's conversation. We want to find out from you, when we talk about voting and who is to be voted for, what does it mean? In the first place, voting, we know, is part of constitutional human rights to exercise a person's franchise. But break it down to the simplest term for ordinary citizens' understanding. What does it mean to say I am voting or I will vote?
So I think I am both as per the Constitution, and then I think from 18 years you are a man and a woman who can make decision and know left from right and know what is wrong and what is right. So from then you can make a decision even from home. That is how come even the nation, there's a constitution that back that after 18 years you could now exercise the franchise. But then it's becoming something that I mean, these days it's really difficult to make mention who is to vote. And right now, what I think is that after the 18 years that anybody is eligible to vote, now what goes into, if I am able to vote, who am I supposed to vote to be voted for? And this one, I think I wouldn't say it should start from home. I'm sure from basic school, they tell us what's not, who a citizen is, your rights, your privileges, and all those ones as we grow into our 18 years and then 21 years to be able to be voted also for. And I think that one is not much enough for us to be able to stand out and say that we want to vote. Because that is the reason, that is what is channeled us into. I heard you mention in your introduction talking about moneycracy. So we are not getting to know what really it is, the essence of voting. So we end up saying, okay, then if somebody comes to me with anything, let me just follow up and vote for the person. Why? Because we don't really know what's the essence of voting. And it goes down into losing our patriotism.
So, I mean, the whole picture of democracy, you look at it, and then one of the elements or one of the principle or activity which is done is voting. Let me stay a while longer with you, Albert, because Madame Monica has also, touched on voting. What does it mean to say voting, and what does it entail?
Voting is basically, we vote in all areas or all sectors with respect to who we want to elect. And that is having the freedom to choose a leader or having the freedom to choose whoever in whatsoever organization we find ourselves to do or occupy a position. So voting can be done. But when it comes to voting with respect to a nation's decision to have a leader, it means there must be the people must actually pass some checks to be eligible voters. And if you want to talk about voting in a general sense, it doesn't just take people who are above the age 18 or 18 and above, which constitutionally makes you eligible to be a voter. No, these are when we come to voting for leaders in a country on a national basis or in our various districts or whatsoever, in these various capacities. It's not just 18 and above. You have to be in the right standing here to be a voter. So it's
right,
like people.
What? Right standing what? Mentally fit, you mean?
Yeah, you have to be mentally fit because when you vote wrongly, it will go against you. And that is how come you might have someone in a position and you might say, oh, he said something and he didn't live up to it. So you need to be in the right standing. You really need to be having the right kind of mentality. That is you actually going through what the key things that actually makes the leader what is worth voting for. And that is what I see to be someone who is actually eligible to vote, not just 18 and above. It's someone who is able to decipher between what is wrong and right, to know the times we are in and the kind of leader that is necessary or needed for the times ahead. So that is basically who a voter is, not just about age. Yeah.
So a voter is not just about age, but someone who has the right mental fortitude to decipher who ought to be voted for. Then it leads us to the other question, because this particular topic is in two folds. Who is to vote and who is to be voted for? So we ask, who is to be voted for would be the leader to be chosen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is to be voted for?
Mm-hmm.
Who is to be voted for would be the leader to be chosen.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. So then we ask, for you to present yourself as a leader to be voted for, what must you possess? What must be your qualities? What should you bring to the table? What should be some of your qualities?
I think for me,
okay.
Yeah.
I wanted Madam Monica to actually pick.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so this I think is it Albert, right?
Yeah.
Albert made mention of mentally sound, of which it is even part of the Electoral Commission's criteria in selecting who is to vote and who is to be voted for. I have chance working with EC for a while. Through registration processes, electoral processes, and a whole lot. And particularly when it comes to per the EC regulation, you need to be sound. But I remember at a polling station that we were having a registration process, and then a family brought somebody to be registered. So we all realized that no, this person is not really in the position mentally to be an eligible voter. And it was just a war, because the family was like, he is a Ghanaian and he's more than 18. And you see, so all these things that we are talking about now, it boils down into something is not going right in knowing a lot of things. So I'm just trying to say that there is a inefficient knowledge in when we come to our electoral processes. I think that is from who is supposed to be voted, who is supposed to be voted for.
So to the question, who is to be voted for? Which is
so who is to be voted for?
Yeah.
I think when it comes to generally, I'll come from the point of view from our electoral processes, who is qualified. Normally somebody who we know in Ghanaian per culture-wise, somebody we think and we know it doesn't have any issue of criminal background, like sound, and even somebody who is just good, let me put it that way, who is just good or gentle in the society, we see that. And then under normal circumstance too, I think it's supposed to be somebody who knows what it's about.
Someone who knows.
So what it's about, yes. You see, some people just think the word honorable, like when they hear the honorable, just to be called honorable, like it pleases them. Or to be given a bit of social stratification, that when we go for meetings, I'll be called at least to give speeches, to give me opportunities. People will come to me. People will look at that side of it to forget about helping to build a nation. That is, this is what I have observed, right from, because I've engaged in district assemblies, I've engaged with all those who are looking at it and then talking from the people who are going to be, and this time around, especially, I'm just making this because from what I have seen personally and observed, and even, let me say, I have felt it because I've been in society a lot. I really work with things that it entails the society coming and then listen to their ideas, bits of things that they have and the concerns that they have, particularly about who they vote for. So this, starting from the district assembly level and things, that is where people just look at the honorable side of it and then forget about somebody who can help them or who executes what, especially because no matter what, everything that is supposed to be done, they start from the district level. That is from the assemblyman. For the assemblyman, that is from the households. They know everybody in the community, the household and everything, right to the MP, and then climb up to the ministerial and then to the presidential as the rulers. So most of the time, I think the person who is supposed to be voted for should be a person who has so much concern about the community. So not somebody who likes the honorable part of the position. And believe you me, if people are really into it because of the honorable positions, I can get closer to the MC, I can get closer to the MP. People will come to me. That's prestige than making the nation.
So, Albert, Madam Monica has talked about two things. So people to be voted for are in two categories. One, someone who is concerned about the fame, the honor, the pleasure, the fanfare that comes with being addressed as an honorable person. I am the DCE, I'm the MP, I am the leader here. And then the other, one who genuinely is concerned about the true development and growth. Yet, if these two are presented, the voter must make a choice. In cases where the voter is unable to decipher very well about what he or she needs, in selecting either of these two to be the leader, how does that become a worry or a great disaster onto the nation or the catchment area?
Proven records of what he or she has done over the years. And the qualities of this very person, and just as she mentioned, the person must be very honest, selfless, and compassionate, because it is compassion that compels one to take the right action to better the lives of people. So if this person is not compassionate and you vote for that person, then it means that you're looking forward to seeing a total mess in the future. Once the person is compassionate, once the person loves people, loves society, and wants to see people, everyone winning, when the person assumes or takes or occupies the leadership position, he or she will ensure that the people have a good standard of living improved over the day, over time. So when we vote the wrong people or we elect the wrong leaders, then it means things are going to go wrong, because these people will now be in the capacity to use all the power given them to be very self-centered. And that is how can we say it now becomes family and friends affair. So it really matters that we elect the right people by checking their track records and actually knowing how these people are, how they related with humans or fellow or their colleagues over the years. And this is what we don't check. When we just see people who have money, people who have the name and status in society, they are CEOs of this and that, they are businessmen flying in and out there. We tend to look at this aspect of the people to elect them as leaders. And that is where the error comes in. Leadership is not about money. And recently I was sharing with a friend and I told her that, do you know that in our chieftaincy system, why do we have the other sub-chiefs or the kingmakers or the elders around the leader? And even when you check with the Tumfo, there was a time that he was speaking and he was getting angry and out of scope. Then the people actually raised a song to interrupt him. These are things that have been put in place. It means everyone, irrespective of the fact that you are elected to be a leader, wisdom is irrespective of age, and we learn on the job, and we learn with respect to what the times are. So when we are going off, there must be people around us to actually put us back on track. And this is what has been in the traditional rulership or in the traditional systems. We don't have a working structure like that when it comes to our national leadership. Even though they tell us that they are advisor to this and that is just to put people in positions to just enjoy a piece of the national cake. So it really matters the kind of people surrounding the leader and the kind of qualities the leader possesses, not just the outward flashy kind of things to elect a leader. So it goes against you when you vote for the wrong leader. You will not have the right thing done, and the little you have will be also taken away from you. And that's basically what happens.
Is the voter sometimes confused and do not know what to do?
Yeah. People get confused. Some deliberately do that. Others are bought out. So it is, one, people who are selfish and they are putting their stomachs before their brains. Two, people who are not in the right standing. They are unstable, very unstable as water. So they are just carried away by the wind. They are just like a chaff. They are blown away by anything they hear, and they don't sit down to critically analyze what's going on or what's at stake. Then the third one is people who they are just naive. They don't know about it until you educate them. And that is why, like the agencies or organizations like NCC, you need to really do their works, because once we don't help people to build their mindset well, to think critically, then what are you expecting them to do? They will just be there, and many of them will even decide that go and do whatever you want to do. So these are people who are just laid back until they get the actual understanding of what the times are and what they need to do as citizens, the rights they have and the role they have to play, because their voices matter and their votes matter, and they have actually all it takes to elect the leader, because everyone counts. These people need to be psyched up. These people need to be helped. It's just like a weak stem. It needs taking. And these are the categories of people in the society. Others, they are just outright, they are selfish. Yeah.
Okay. So, indeed, the voter, who to be voted for, very critical. Madam Monica, I want to find out from you. I mean, Albert talked about people who places their stomach first before their brain. People are bought. And if gradually, good, I like this, you, Madam Monica. And if gradually people are bought, what has that become of a nation where our democracy has gradually become monicracy?
people being bought didn't just start in a day. It's a process. It's the loss in confidence. The loss in confidence of the people, that is what led to people being bought. Because in the beginning, I have kept my confidence in you. Things are going to be this way per the promises that have been given me. You leave and then the promises are not executed. All the things that my expectations are not being met. If the expectations are not being met, what will I do? Then let me be selfish to myself. So if you tell me you are going to do this, you are going to do this for all the nation to benefit, and then tomorrow the story turns different, then okay, if you don't do it that way, let me do it my own way. Let me be selfish to myself. So then let me sell my votes. So I always say that monetization of monetization of the votes is not about it's not just it's a process. It started from somewhere. It's the citizens losing confidence in the people, in our leaders. So let me put it that way.
So you're saying that monetization or vote selling is as a result of citizens losing confidence in their leaders?
Yes.
And if that is gradually becoming the order of the day, how dangerous is it? How dangerous it is when people or when citizens or when the voter is gradually selling his vote, which is his conscience and his power? How dangerous is it to the democracy? Okay, Albert.
Yeah, so that's self-destruction, and this is a terrible time to be in. One, it is vote selling, vote buying. The two parties are marrying each other. Yeah, that's a crime. So for it to continue going on, it means the whole system is in a terrible mess. And for you to be a leader, if you are truly a leader, your records are just there for everyone to see and be able to decide and make sure that you become a leader because of the work that have been done over time. Why would you then go and buy votes? And why would you also sell your votes if you truly believe that you have your right to elect the right leader for the land? So it's a very sickening moment to be in, something to be witnessing now in the 21st century. And it's terrifying what kind of future we're going to see. So we really need to sit up. We really need to wise up. If we keep selling, we keep buying, it means the politician is not looking forward to change your state, because once your state will not be changed, your estate will not be changed. And that is the mindset that you have. You are obviously saying that the politician is not coming to fix your road, is not coming to make sure that developmental projects are carried out in your community. So what you think is you need to have a share of the national cake right from the basics. That is you taking money and voting for the person. At least to you, that is the bad mentality. This is a very sad point to be at, because the seller thinks that, oh, my voice doesn't matter. Yeah, the Bible says that the poor man's voice is not heard. And why would your voice be heard? Because the politician will also keep you in a poor state. Because when he makes you able to be rising at every point in time, it means there will come a time when he doesn't have the right kind of policy, the right kind of leadership positions. They cannot manipulate you. They cannot get you to sell your votes. So always, that is why they construct roads just few days before the time. The roads are not constructed to take you a very long time, because it has to come back to its bad state so they can use it for campaign another election year. So that's how we've been going and running in circles. So it's a deliberate thing on the side of leadership, and it's also now something that is being accepted by the seller of the votes, because they think this is the only means to also enjoy local fuel from the leaders they are looking forward to elect, which is very dangerous. It's deadly. This is self-destruction. That is what is taking the country back, retrogressing. Because if 50 or 60 years ago, someone projected and was able to forge ahead and to give us the Adomi Bridge, to give us the motorway, to give us the Akusumo Dam, and many other things that are really significant in this country. And these things are the key things that are still keeping us today. It means we've not made progress over time, which is terrifying. So we really need to sit up, because it is self-destruction, food buying, food selling.
vote buying is self-destruction, Albert is saying. Gentlemen and a lady, I would want us to actually end the conversation because of time. But while we end, we want to look at the actions or the work of various electoral bodies or various bodies or institutions that must really work significantly to ensure or safeguard the democracy that we have. Of course, one aspect of it or an element of democracy is voting. And if gradually we are losing that because the conscience of people are bought and democracy is becoming monocracy, then we are, of course, heading towards doom. But the question is, how do we revert all of these? How do we cause a change? Monica, yes. Monica, you are of the view that the people have lost trust in the government, and so they've decided to sell their vote, which is their power. How then does the people, or how then do the people want to say we've reached a point where indeed we want to speak up for ourselves, and so we are no longer selling our vote to you?
Okay, so from what you were, from where I was ending, and then from what you were talking about in ending, them the values that we think, these are family values, these are societal values, these are values as a nation. That is where it should start from.
Albert, how do we protect the voting rights of citizens, and what should be the golden lens that voters should have when they want to elect someone through voting?
Okay, so what I'm saying is that what voters should look out for is to check the track records of these very people, proven track records, as well as check the way these people relate with humans that are around them or the people around them. Once you know how they relate with the people around them, you know how they relate with you, because we are the reflection of our thoughts. And the same way we relate with people is a reflection of who we are. So check how these people relate with others that they call their true friends, their family, who are around them. Then you know how best they will even work with you or relate with you or feel for you. Once again, as I said, compassion is what compels people to take the right action to better the lives of people. So look for a compassionate leader, look for an honest leader, look for a selfless leader. And in as much as you're looking for this, make sure that a God-fearing person as well. And this is not just words, but someone who is someone who acts his talks. So an actor of his talks, who is moved by God's words, God's love is in that very person. So proven records, selfless, diligent, compassionate, and above all loves God. This is the person we should look out for. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Albert Tetteh. Albert Tetteh is the Director of Youth and Sports with the Kwame Nkrumah Ideology Institute. He's an activist and a social reformer and a STEM advocate as well. Albert Tetteh, thank you so much. And of course, a big thank you also going out to the assistant, teaching assistant at the University of Ghana Business School and Master of Madam Monica Baffowaa. Thank you so much for your time with me on topic or issue concerning voting and who to vote for.